Perhaps, ma'am, let me greet you, the GS and the lay president, and the conference at large. And as they prepare the presentation to go up, and it gives me pleasure to be standing here, but equally, ma'am, it is my maiden report. But I'm grateful for the opportunity that the MCSA has given me, even though I would like to indicate that if there ever was any baptism of fire, I've experienced it, ma'am. To juggle the balls that I have juggled in the past 8 months has not been easy. But having said that, we have a report that we hope that it will beat into the same rhythm as your vision, ma'am. And we pray that it will be a report that would show that we want to move with mission as the MCSA. Firstly, ma'am, as I stand here, I do want to thank the people called Methodists for the support they have offered the mission unit. And it is going to be evident in the report that I am going to share with conference. And secondly, I want to give thanks to all the bishops for partnering with the mission unit in ensuring that we continue to capacitate and to journey with the district. And that also goes with the mission groups who have opened spaces for the mission unit to walk alongside them in the work that they are doing. And ma'am, perhaps the presentation will catch up with me. I am not going to be presenting the entire report as is in the book. I trust that conference has read it, and I'm just going to extrapolate a few things from the report. Ma'am, I would like to indicate
Page 197.
that, yes, that's where I'm going. We are now on page 197, and we will run through the pages up to page 216. That's where the report ends. I've offered conference the opportunity to see the executive summary, to have the executive summary of the work of the unit, and then I've broken it down into several appendices so that we focus in some of the focal areas for the mission unit. But ma'am, let me begin by paying a special tribute and gratitude to my predecessor, the now General Secretary, Reverend Musi Lusaba, for the seamless transition that he has enabled the unit as he was then moving into another office and I was coming in. How that has enabled us to continue with the global partners, introducing me to the global partners, and how that has allowed us in the unit to discover gifts and talents that we could enhance in ensuring that the work continues and the unit becomes sustainable. That seamless transition has also enabled us to implement some of the strategic programs that he, to begin with, had hoped to implement, and I have then ensured that there is continuity with that work, but also to emphasize on the diversification of the work of the mission unit. Ma'am, this work is held by 5 strands. The work that we do is about relief and welfare. It is about community development. There is advocacy. We do accompaniment. And we also focus on partnerships. And these partnerships are more globally and in the global north, in actual fact, than they are in the global south, nor in South Africa. Our biggest partner in South Africa is the Mutsipa Foundation. The rest are in the global north. Let me begin, therefore, by illustrating the work or commenting on the work of the Pula Fund as one of the strands of our work in community development. And that work we will find it in Appendix 1, page 201 through 203. And I begin with an overview of that work, reminding conference that the Pula Fund was established in 2009 to provide sustainable financial support for mission and projects across the connected. Now, it is about the projects. It is not about the agency. It is administered by the Mission Unit Advisory Board, and the fund operates under church resolutions and the Book of Order to ensure accountability and alignment. Its impact enables us to ensure that there's transformative work that happens, that of healing, of fostering community development and social change in all our countries. And the purpose of this fund, it is resourced from the Mission and Extension Fund, the Millennium Mission Resource Fund, and there is a calculation that is done, therefore, for us to be able to determine the percentage. But what I want to emphasize, ma'am, is that without the Mission and Extension Fund, we will never be able to do any work in the mission unit. And I want to call on conference, therefore, to call on each circuit, to call on each district to ensure that the M&E fund is collected. And later on, you will realize the benefits of doing this work. The fund also targets mission projects centered on HIV and AIDS, poverty alleviation, early childhood development, and food security. As indicated, it is administered by the Mission Unit Advisory Board. And the fund ensures then that resources are allocated effectively to mission projects with the greatest need for impact. And conference, these guidelines are applicable for this fund, and it is important that I just remind conference that we review applications twice a year in February, and the closing date for the next batch is the 15th of May. And I do know that we have been lenient in allowing some of the applications to come in slightly late, but if we could please observe those dates, they assist us in ensuring that this work goes through the advisory board. And all applications must include the minutes of the second quarterly meeting and how the project is planned. There needs to be a narrative report on the work that is happening, and also it must be accompanied with, by financials where projects have already started. And people must make sure that these projects are signed by the project manager, by the mission coordinator, and the district bishop. We do not accept any forms that are just signed by the superintendent without them being signed by the district bishop and the mission coordinator. And the maximum grant is 40,000 per project. That's what gets to be approved as a maximum amount. We have since developed a monitoring and evaluation tool to enhance accountability. And it is simple, and that monitoring and evaluation tool, you will see how simple it is. On page 202. That's how simple it is. And we are in the process of developing a digital platform that will assist us in registering all the projects that are in our connection. The impact of this fund is such that, ma'am, it is 46% of the work that we do in our mission work around the connection. So this fund funds then 46% of the districts in our connection. And the projects that have been approved for this year are 8, and the districts that have benefited from these projects, I am listing them there, that in most districts there's one project, except for the Northern Free State and Lesotho district that has got 2 projects this year. And so, ma'am, we want to recommend as the mission unit that we need to increase awareness about this fund. We also need to increase and train people on how this fund works, but also in ensuring that we get more funding for this fund. Of course, then people need to familiarize themselves with the monitoring and evaluation tool, and we want reports so that we can share the success stories and learn from those areas that require growth. I now move on, ma'am, to the accompaniment report, which is Appendix 2. And this is also another extensive work that we are doing as the mission unit. And this work focuses in areas of training, of development, of evangelism and growth, of project management and sustainable development together with governance. We are fortunate as a connection that we received a grant of 4.7 million, which we received around 2023, and we have begun to use that grant, and it has helped us to be able to do some work in various districts, including Namibia, including Mulopo, Highveld, and Eswatini, especially in Swaziland. It is assisting us to do work in the Kamdebu district. And so without that grant, we would not have been able to do this work. Ma'am, there are certain things that we need to be aware of in terms of these districts that I have counted. For instance, in the Mulopo district, there's a different ministry model that we need to adopt there. Mulopo may need to focus on non-itinerant, non-stipendary ministry, needs perhaps a conversation on how we can repackage and revisit the part-time ministry and retirement policies, because there's lack of candidature from Botswana, but also there is also a need for us to ensure that those who have candidated are able to plow back to their home country. We are getting concerns from the government that we are sending non-Botswana citizens as if God is not calling Botswana. The Mozambique district needs to strategize on socio-political instability that we have seen plaguing the country for some time now, and therefore a strategic vision is needed. Collaboration with global social development partners may be required there, especially with the annual cyclone disasters in that district. Namibia tent-making ministry is a critical emphasis to equip ministers with practical skills and ensuring that there is leadership capacitation building in that district. Once again, it is more or less like Botswana as well, that we need to be able to increase agency from the people of Namibia as well. Tamdebu is showing signs of needing restructuring, where if we want to see it more sustainable, it may need to attract more circuits into it. That would be an economic hub, because most of the income in that district is seasonal, dependent on the farming there. And the farming, by the sound of things, it is more citrus, and therefore it is very seasonal. And so if we are to sustain the work in that district, we may seriously need to restructure the district. There is training of youth that has happened as well, that is going to be taking place. We have partnered with the MCYU, and we have allocated funds for that work to happen. In fact, together with them, we managed to bring in delegates from Mozambique and Kamdebu for the children's Indaba, which was a much needed intervention. Otherwise, those districts would have been left out. And we contributed 30,000 towards that. We also are partnering with the MCYU by affording them 200,000 that will be used across the connection in the development and training of young people. Not only that, ma'am, there's work that is happening in Lesotho through the All We Can program, and the Lesotho area is not benefiting from the accompaniment fund, but because the Methodist Church in Britain had allocated funds for Lesotho, we have allocated 40,000 rands for the training of young people in the area of Lesotho. And there's great work that is happening there. And in terms of the strategic plan for Lesotho, we will be going back in October to then deal with the implementation part of that work. It is truly exciting, and thanks to Bishop Mutupi, who has walked this journey with us together with the ministers in Lesotho. And the training of evangelists and lay people, we continue to partner with EMU and ensuring that mission becomes at the heart of the training there. And so, ma'am, I present, therefore, this work, and for the accompaniment, we have developed a monitoring and evaluation tool. You will find that work from page 206. It is rather a comprehensive M&E tool that ends in page 209. This is to ensure that once we have done training, we're able to monitor and also evaluate. And then, ma'am, as I am about to conclude the work on the accompaniment, please, if we may note that there's the restructuring of the district of Molopo that requires the legal registration that we spoke about yesterday, as was presented by the lay president, and we are in support of that work. And leadership training programs, we are planning to divide that district into certain regions so that training is accessible and people are able, therefore, to be empowered. And the model that we are using is that of training the trainers, so that we are not always on the ground, and when we leave people, they are disempowered by us leaving them. And so spiritual growth is part of the agenda, and also the multi-stakeholder approach is being employed, where the mission unit, the finance, the EMU, and the MCYU are all coming together to look at the work there, ma'am. I shall now move on to the Mission Resource Fund. Ma'am, I do want to emphasize the fact that with the Mission Resource Fund, we acknowledge that we may be the MCSA as a connection, but our strengths are not the same. There are those who are ahead of us in terms of resources. There are those who are far behind in terms of resources. There are those who are far ahead with the mission work. There are those who need to establish the mission work. There are those who need to go back and re-establish the mission work. And so this fund provides financial aid to establish new work. It is also around re-establishing the work that has got potential for growth. I need to emphasize, ma'am, that this is not a rescue fund for circuits. It is purely designed to allow mission to grow. It is designed to resuscitate mission work in the circuits. If people are struggling with stipends, they can talk to the GT. There are funds that are designed for that, but not this fund. And most of the applications we are receiving, they are rescue applications and not in line with the Mission Resource Fund. And so those principles are laid out in the report. I want to indicate, ma'am, that we allocate 25% from the Church Reserve Fund for this work. It is not enough, even though it might sound huge, like 3 million, but the need is huge. It is not enough. And as such, we are very clear that we need, therefore, to capacitate circuits when we identify a need. Leadership has to be engaged, and there needs to be capacitation. Ma'am, I therefore want to emphasize the fact that this fund is also evaluated by a committee, and that committee includes the General Secretary, it includes the GT, it includes myself, and then we report. That work to the presiding bishop and to the CE. And then lastly, as I conclude my report, you will then have to turn to page 214 for the MRF and the Development Fund. Page 214. Ma'am, this is purely a development fund that I wish to bring to the to conference as one of the funds that we have. This supports disasters. This supports areas that have been hard hit by certain plagues and all that. And so there's some work that we have done then around the connection. We collaborate with districts when we do this work. And it is my pleasure to indicate that indeed we were there in the Kumkani Yinsa district, and after the floods that had hit Butterworth and the surrounding areas, and the need was quite dire. But I'm also pleased to indicate that the people called Methodists were as generous as the disaster was. We were also in Umtata, and we were able to assist God's people there as well. Ma'am, if I may just indicate that it is heartwarming after writing letters to the people called Methodists for donations that we received so much donations from the people called Methodists. To date, we have collected close to $1 million in terms of that disaster relief. And not only that disaster relief, but together with Mozambique as well as Botswana. So the one that happened in the Molopo district, precisely in Gaborone. And we collected 371,000 for Mozambique, and that money has already been spent in Mozambique, and we received a good report. And I would like us to just give a round of applause to the Mozambique district. We have also collected 313,000 for Mozambique and 371,000 for the Molopo district. To ensure that we work well with government in Botswana, we have partnered with them, and we have ensured that we don't rush the process, but we also get the lead from them in order to enhance our relationship with them. I'm pleased then to say, Madam, we are now negotiating with Cash Build for us to be able to do some work in Umtata. And we are also working closely with the local government there in identifying houses that need to be repaired. And that's the next work that we will be doing. Appendix 5 is work in progress, but it is work that you should expect us to be able to deliberate on at next conference. There are various things then that we have planned for the following year, and ma'am, I just want to put them up on the screen, the second last slide, for conference to see them. I will not talk to those areas. There goes my 20 minutes, ma'am. Thank you.
I am sure you are using Kairos time. We are using Chronos. Thank you. Please move your report for adoption, sir.
Madam and conference, I now move this report for adoption.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Thank you, PB. I just want conference to note that as the director moves for the adoption of this report, Appendix 5 shouldn't be included in that because it's something that still needs to go back to the advisor report of the mission unit, and then we can have it before us in the next conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The report has been proposed and for adoption. Move for adoption. Is conference agreed? Thank you very much, Director. You did very well for a maiden. You said it's your maiden speech, so you must be a maiden. Thank you. Yes, Bishop Nakai. Can't hear. Closer to the mic.
Maybe the synod after conference. I'm taking this opportunity, ma'am, on behalf of the Clarkbury district to say thank you to the people called Methodists and the Mission Unit Department for assisting us during the time of crisis when we were facing the floods at Mthatha. We are taking this opportunity to say thank you. You really come on board and assisted us. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done to you, Methodists, because it is through your contributions that we are able to be a church that responds to the cries of those who are struggling and facing disaster. So well done. Thank you, Director, for leading us in that work. Bishop?
Presiding Bishop and members of conference. Firstly, I would like to express gratitude on behalf of the Molopo district. The district has received some funding for the purpose of rebuilding the lives of those who were affected by floods in the months of January and February in Botswana. We're very grateful for that, and work has begun together with in partnership with the district commissioners called Balaudi to try and restore the lives of those who were affected. Secondly, the director made reference to a model of ministry for the district. I want to affirm that and request that this conference give some clear direction what should happen beginning after this. That process will need to accompany.
We're struggling, sir. Thank you. Just to say that resolutions committee will have to comb very finely on all these reports. For example, there are few proposals from this mission report, and so for us not to miss those that have come through, that work would happen, and maybe it will respond to what you request, sir. Again, Methodist Church of Southern Africa, you have supported the work when Botswana was faced with a disaster. Give yourselves a round of applause. All right. Kumkani Winsa, I saw your hand was up, Bishop. I will hand over to you, not yet. There's someone on the mic. Let me see if there are any other hands so that I don't get surprises. Then we go to tea after this. There's one. All right. So it will be you, sir, the bishop, and the hand this side, and then we will break for tea. Thank you, sir. Right. Let's listen up.
Thanks, Bishop, and the conference. Just one clarity. Let's appreciate the work done by the mission unit. But I just want it to be clarified. The scope of funding is only limited to these soft projects only. They are not funding the investment project, like the property development, investment project, and NCA project. Of course, using their partnership, their strategic partnerships. Thanks.
Very much. Bishop Spilder.
Thank you very much for affording me the opportunity just to stand, before this conference. Also wanting to extend, a very humble word of gratitude to you, PB, and our mission unit director, and to the Methodist people at large, and also the Kumkani at large, because I do this, deliberately, intentionally, because when we were all asked as Methodists to support the Umtata floods, we also contributed to that with a lump sum of some money, but we haven't, ended there. We saw a need for us as a district to go an extra mile to look around our area, that is Kumkaninza. And the Kumkaninza people did so well, I do want to make it, a clear to this conference for the people of that district, of the good work that they have done. Thank you so much, Bibi. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. Give yourselves a round of applause, Miss Methodist. These are the stories that we need to highlight and zoom in on, and I'm sure Comms Director will go on and finish that paragraph for me. Let me not do it. Sir, you're the last one on this.
Thank you, Presiding Bishop and Conference. I must give a disclaimer, PB, I'm also a first-timer here. And I must thank Reverend Waku for that report. And my concern, really, PP, is on your last comment there, that if I was not here, I would not know of these stories. And that for me is very concerning, that there is so much work that is being done. And we have not devised a communication strategy around actually supporting the work of Mission Unit, so that we take the people who are called Methodists with us as we do this. We have been so self-critical around the issue of being inward-looking. And this report paints a different picture altogether. And if we do not devise strategies to communicate that strategically so, we will leave people with the false impression that we are not really part of communities and working deeply in these communities. The second point I want to raise, I think we need to look deeper into matters around monitoring and evaluation of the work that we are doing, so that even these reports are able to paint a picture for us of the kind of impact we are having in these communities where we are. We need to be able, firstly, to paint a picture for ourselves using the stats that we have here, and also to be able to profile these communities so that when we have this work being done, our report is able also to give us a picture of the kind of impact we're already having, so that it is tangible impact that we are having. We're able also to weigh ourselves against the kind of work we are doing. But thank you very much for that report, Reverend.
Thank you very much. Director, I believe there was a question.
Thank you, ma'am. The question is around financing soft projects. Indeed, at this stage, ma'am, that is the reality as per the Book of Order around these funds. But there's nothing that is stopping us as people called Methodists to raise as much money as we can in order for us to do other projects. But I've also heard in this conference, I've heard in the Mission Congress that we need to sharpen our property investment program. And maybe it is not just for the mission unit, it is for us to look squarely into how we are going to raise a stronger arm of investment. And maybe it is a challenge for all of us. We are ready to partner with whomever is ready to say we want to improve people's lives. And we will be there with them all the way. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. The heartbeat of the church is mission, and you have done excellent work here in guiding us. Well done to you and your team. Conference, we now break for tea. In fact, it's more like a comfort break, really. We return at 4:30. No? Order. Please make it 4:45 on the 4:45, sorry, yes, on the dot. We do need to have dinner at 5:30 because we've got memorial service tonight. And I would want us to take finances before we go to memorial. So at 22, the presenters are singing. By 2:15, we begin our business. Enjoy your tea.